5 of the most controversial things to ever happen in the NFL. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Crumble Takes, and today we're going to be talking about these 5 controversial things, ranging from the no call, Eli to the Chargers, the power outage, the tuck rule. Those are just, well, that's 4 of them. But please leave a like, subscribe, and let's get into it, and comment how you guys feel on these controversial things. So first, we're going to start with the NOAL no call in the NFC Championship game. Oh, this changed path of Super Bowl for sure. Now let's get into the certain play. There's also a whole ton of no calls that were not called in this game in the fourth quarter. Very controversial fourth quarter. But let's get into the play that mattered the most.
Quick snap, Breeze, passing.
So the score is 20-20. This happens. It's 3rd and 10 from the Rams. 13. Rams, they're, they don't get a no call. Basically, the Rams, they got very lucky with that. Saints, they don't get the call that they want. Of course, Sean Payton's on the sideline. I'd be mad too. So Saints kick a field goal, and then after they kick that field goal, Rams go down the field, kick another field goal, tie game 23-23. Now, overtime. Saints get the ball first to redeem themselves. Drew Brees, of course, throws an interception. And then Rams go down the field, kick it with a field goal, win the game, go to the Super Bowl. And we end up seeing the worst Super Bowl of all time. Yeah, I know we're excited with that score. Here, look at the, just look. Yep, that's hot garbage right there. But anyways, back to what I was saying. If this gets called, it's a first down New Orleans. They probably are going to score. And that changes everything. That means the Rams have to go down the field and score and not settle on a field goal. That changes a lot. Then this means, of course, it would be Tom Brady and Drew Brees in the Super Bowl. Probably a super hyped up matchup. But like I said, it wasn't PI. And we got to see one of the most boring Super Bowls ever. And Drew Brees, 1 ring. Now let's get into the next. Just before we get into the next thing, just one thing I want to mention. If you guys actually think about this also affects Tom Brady's legacy. If he plays Drew Brees and the Saints in the Super Bowl, would Tom have another ring? That is crazy to think about to me. I forgot to mention this. This is edited. Yeah, I forgot, maybe Tom won't have another ring versus Rams. He has 7, maybe he only has 6. With the way this goes, plays Saints. Like I said, most boring Super Bowl of all time, most low scoring ever too. But let's get into the next one now. At number 6, we have the Super Bowl blackout, or Super Bowl 47, I should say. Now, this is also a very controversial thing because, well, this Super Bowl was the Harbaugh Bowl, as it should say. Now, shortly after the third quarter began, the lights fell out for 34 minutes. Now, some people think that maybe they turned the lights off. Well, they say the power went out. Now, some people think the power really didn't go out. Some people believe that they did this because the Ravens were beating them so bad. Keep in mind, the Ravens already had, I think it was 29 points, and San Fran was pretty much getting destroyed. It looked like the game was over. So now they think that they cut the lights off to get their ratings back up because of, the game being a blowout, and people are like, oh, people are going to turn the game off. So this is why people think this. Now, I don't know. I mean, that would make sense, but I don't know if they really did it, but yeah. But yeah, here is the also crazy thing. When the lights came back on and game resumed, keep in mind, the final score was 34-31, and the 49ers almost came back. They almost beat them, I will not lie. Me being a Ravens fan, that's Super Bowl. I know I wasn't watching football at the time, but yeah. There was a very controversial PI call at the end of the game to some people, but the Ravens did end up winning. Joe Flacco, won a Super Bowl MVP. Now here's the thing. It's if that power outage doesn't happen, do the Ravens just blow them out completely? The 49ers have no, and then does certain 49er players feel like they gotta leave because the blowout? This could affect so many things if this game was a true blowout. Even though it kind of was, they came back a little bit, but they were still getting blown out. So that's another thing to think about. And it's well, if the 49ers did come back, Joe Flacco wouldn't have a ring. Quarterback market would have gotten reset with Joe Flacco getting paid that bag. But yeah, on to the next one. So the next thing on the list is going to be very controversial to some people. The Tuck Rule, also known as the 2001 divisional round Raiders vs. Patriots. Now, listen, the score is 10-13 New England. There is 1:50 left on the clock, and a very controversial rule happens. Tom Brady's in the pocket. He gets hit and he fumbles the ball, as everyone thought. He fumbled the ball, but on further review, his hand was apparently going forward. I'm gonna play the clip now. Apparently it was going forward, so they called it an incomplete pass, but he did kind of tug it in. That's the thing. But they ruled it incomplete. Now, with this, what happened was, game goes into overtime with a field goal, and then Adam Vinatieri, of course, kicks a field goal in overtime to win the game, and Patriots go on to win the first Super Bowl versus the Rams, and the rest is history. Tom Brady has a dynasty with the Patriots and has a whole bunch of Super Bowl rings, and we all know how this goes. Now, here's the big question with it. If this gets called a fumble, it's Raiders ball. They can pretty much run the clock out in the game. Then does the Patriots dynasty, this is the biggest question, does the Patriots dynasty never start just because of this? And it's hard to think about, because like, how many careers could be altered because the Pats dynasty doesn't exist? I mean, look at the Jets when they had their thing going on, when they lost to the Pats multiple times. The Colts, Peyton Manning, would he have more rings because he always had to play the Pats? All them teams in the AFC, the Steelers, all them teams who had to play them, would they have more rings because they got over the hump with the Patriots? Because of the Patriots don't exist, so there wouldn't be a hump to get over for them. I mean, maybe hypothetically there'd be a different team, but with this, there isn't a Patriots team to get over. So what happens? Does Peyton Manning have more rings with Colts? Does he end up leaving the Colts? Does Andrew Luck ever get drafted to the Colts? This is a whole bunch of big questions happen if this gets ruled a fumble, and that's why it's so altering. And personally, I think it might have been a fumble. I think it's really close. But personally, the way that they call it now, I don't think his arm was going forward. Like, if his arm was going forward and the ball got hit out, I'd say that's incomplete. But the fact that he tucked it back in, it's like, well, shouldn't that be a fumble then? But on to the next one. Yes, I think now that I think about it, I think it's a fumble. But it's on to the next one. Like I said, it's all history now. Next up on the list is the firing of Brian Flores. Now, this was also a very shady scandal and controversial thing that happened in the NFL. Now, keep in mind, this man was fired after having a record, a positive record. He didn't have a losing record. He went freaking 10-6 and 9-8. Back-to-back winning seasons for the first time since 2003. This man, Brian Flores. Keep that in mind, right? Now, he sued the Dolphins. Now, keep in mind, this is the scandal behind it. So he sued them, and apparently what he was saying, that the Dolphins owner offered $100K for every loss that they had this season, and apparently he was gonna pay Flores $100K for every game that he lost to tank. Now, after, I think Flores, of course, I think he's a competitive coach and he doesn't like to take L's, and he's being competitive. He was like, no, I'm gonna go out there and win these games, and Dolphins ended up drafting Tua and all that stuff. And so this is where it becomes some more deeper stuff. Apparently, this is why Miami doesn't have a first round pick, by the way, this year, because another part of this scandal was they were trying to get Sean Payton as head coach when they weren't allowed to talk to him, and they're trying to get Tom Brady to come be the quarterback when he left New England, but I don't think they could also talk to him like that. So what happened was this all got uncovered. Flores exposed all of it, and Miami got their first round pick taken away. Now, I don't think Flores should have got fired. He's a hard competitor, and he had back-to-back winning seasons. Like, why would you fire a man who has back-to-back winning seasons for your first time in your franchise since 2003? Now, some people say this has to do with him being African American, which could be very possible, but I still don't think this man should have gotten fired, no matter what he did. Because what he did in that organization at the time, it looks like he was just trying to be a good coach and win games, and that's what he did, and I don't think he should have got fired. Even though they did end up getting Mike McDaniel, I think Mike McDaniel is a great head coach. Still, I think Flores should get a job again as a head coach. He's right now the linebackers coach for the Steelers, but a lot of rumors have opened up that he might be the head coach of the Cardinals soon. There's been a lot of interviews going around the league. I also might be making a video about that, about when these head coaches stuff gets figured out. But yeah, I don't think Flores should have got fired, and that is the huge scandal behind that. On to the next one, which is interesting too. So the very last controversial thing we have in this video is Eli Manning getting drafted by the Chargers. Now, if you originally don't know what happened, the Chargers had the #1 overall pick in that 2004 draft. And what happened was Archie Manning came out, Eli's dad, and said, no, my son is not playing for the Chargers. And Eli agreed because he thought that the organization would never win. And here we are now. Eli got 2 rings with the Giants. The Chargers still have nothing, so he wasn't technically wrong about this. Now, one thing is, like, people are like, well, should Eli really, like, if you're getting drafted to a team, like, do you really have a choice to get drafted there, yes or no? I personally think, well, I think I don't know, for some reason I think in this situation this was fine, because they did a trade. Chargers got Rivers. I mean, it wasn't terrible. They both are 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So it wasn't terrible, but still, there's a big, like, what if Eli was drafted by the Chargers? Like, what if he, like, stayed there? Would the Chargers have a ring? Would the Giants not have them 2 rings? Like, and then another thing, this affects Tom Brady with Super Bowl rings, like I was talking about earlier. Would Tom have 2 more rings because Eli is not there to stop him? Big questions if Eli actually gets drafted by the Chargers, but he got drafted with the Giants, and we all know how it went. Giants 2 Super Bowl rings, and Chargers, they gotta fill up Rivers. Well, guys, please like, subscribe to my channel, please. I appreciate it, and watch these 2 other videos. They're very cool. And peace out. See you in the next one.